Yes, he's appeared in the restream chat. You just love to see it. Gentlemen, wow, this is so cool. But yeah, I think maybe I have a little bit. Well, it's not like I
Wait,
have
how
too
do
many
you have the
channels,
fucking
but
Gyazo? That's or the little you see the emojis that are playing videos?
yeah, let's go. Hello, stream. Welcome. We are going to crack on. Look what Omar's done here, by the way. Just appreciate the brilliance of this. In the bottom left-hand corner, we can see both the YouTube and Twitch chat, so they can interact and talk trash against each other and stuff.
Is it on both of them?
Yeah, it's this restream thing. Hello, Mama Venom. Welcome back, and everyone else. Yeah, so I see Omar's back this week. Was that you were gone last week, right, Omar? And I had to do a terrible job. Yeah, classic.
No, you did a great job.
It was better than usual. It was a better job than usual, that's for sure.
Oh, that looks sick with the chat like that.
Yeah, it's cool, huh? And it's actually like there's enough that we can see them all. So beautiful.
I love that.
Excellent job, everyone. We've got a lot to discuss today. Twitch sucks. Yeah, you see, to people, the YouTube chat's kind of winning right now. They're making their thoughts known here. I mean, Twitch honestly might be kind of washed. I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of streamers leave for YouTube lately. The thing is with YouTube is that it's like I was trying to watch the Ludwig poker stream for a couple of days ago. And I was like, because I think I'm sub to Ludwig, or like I watch a lot of his like second channel videos, and I was really thinking that it would just appear on my front page, because it's a massive stream, and it like had all this chat about it. But yeah, I had to search poker before I found it.
Yeah,
If that was on Twitch, it only had like 100K viewers over like a couple of streams. Like if that was on Twitch, that would have been a much bigger event.
Way
Like,
bigger.
So like that's the thing. YouTube is a bit washed on that sense. But at the same time, YouTube's great because you can rewind and stuff.
Yeah, they should make it more obvious when people are live, like have like a section on the side, kind of like how Twitch has. They do kind of, but it's not that good. Like you kind of just see
crap.
like,
If you click on the live thing, it will show you streams that aren't live, and it will show you streams from like randoms with one people watching. I don't understand how it even works. But yeah, I don't really get it. The other thing that annoys me, well, it doesn't really annoy me, but it's like so if you stream something live, I mean, we had a bit of a weird time with that last week when we streamed, or 2 weeks ago, we streamed this live on YouTube, and then it doesn't become like a video for like 12 hours. It's strange, and like you need to wait for it to become a video, not just a live stream, past live stream, before you can then edit it and chop out the beginning and the end. So, bit of a weird one, honestly. Yeah, YouTube live interface is worse than Vanguard Octane. To be fair, it's true from the back end, like from the watch perspective. I actually like watching on YouTube, which is I prefer to do that than Twitch. But actually to go live is a disaster. Like on Twitch, you literally put in your stream key and press go live. On YouTube, you have to do all sorts of stuff. Like you've got to set up the title. Like I don't know if you've been grinding it, Omar, but yeah, it's a bit more of a hassle. Yeah, you're good, Lion. And then we can get ready to go, baby. Well done with the chat. It's not me, Elias. It's not me. That's not me. But I appreciate the gas anyway. Omar's doing a great job. Okay, cool. So, we've got the tweets gone live. Omar, great job. Okay, what are we going to reply this week? What do we have in the arsenal? Do we have any new pictures? Maybe if I sort by new, I'll find something. Sort by date. Oh, I saved the Shotzi glasses one. Damn, I have nothing really new from this past week. Nothing's happened, guys. Actually, to be fair, this past week has been interesting. The first interesting week in quite some time, I can't lie. What is this? Okay, fuck it, that's being posted. On it goes. Who made that, man?
Are we going to talk about
This will be Attack of Academy one. We're definitely going to talk about the roster change.
The roster change, the one that,
that roster change. I don't think that's been announced yet.
Oh.
And my understanding is it's going to get announced tomorrow. But I mean, we are going to talk about it because it's heavily rumored and we know it's going to happen. So it's not been officially confirmed, but Kismet is not just going to the Pro-Am to watch from the sidelines. Is all we'll say for now. But it's just funny, like he does that tweet. He's like, "Yeah, I'm headed out to the Pro-Am just to watch." Like,
If you want
don't
some,
need to do
if you want some intel, you can go to our fantasy page and go
yeah,
select
exactly. That's a good point. That's a good point. If you want to select players, go to breakingpoint.gg/fantasy, and you will find right there all the intel you could ever want. Damn, Twitch taking over the chat right now. Let's go. To be fair, Twitch chat's better for the chat, I think. No disrespect to those in YouTube chat, but like the kind of culture on Twitch of chatting in chats is like better, I think. Like, more people might watch on YouTube, but I think that I don't know, for big streams, Twitch chat, not saying our stream's a big stream, but you know what I mean? Like, the only reason I'd go to Twitch to watch the major, for example, like CSGO major over YouTube, is for the Twitch chat.
Yeah,
But,
I always mute YouTube chat. Shit sucks. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I never read YouTube chat. No disrespect to all those watching on YouTube, because YouTube lads are class. But Twitch chat is next level for sure.
Yeah.
Don't, no favoritism here at
No.
Point.
Viewing experience better on YouTube. Social experience better on Twitch. That's
Yeah,
it.
we give you best of both worlds, you see. This is
Exactly,
why
we
we
love
really are New York hot
yeah.
garbage. Yeah, YouTube chat has just Reddit. Reddit's funny though. I look on the Reddit, but I can understand why pros don't. I think they do, and then they just tweet about the fact that they got roasted on Reddit. I think that's what the pros do.
Do you get roasted on Reddit, Rad?
That's good stuff. No, they quite like me, I think, nowadays. They went through a period where they did like me. I'm pretty sure I am the most recent winner of COD Competitive Redditor of the Year. Because, yeah, when I started making videos back in like 2018, I think I won, because I used to be really active on the Reddit back in like 2017, 2018. And I think I won Redditor of the Year in 2018. Based on like making videos and stuff, and people like knew about, because I was active on the Reddit and stuff. And then I don't think they've held the kind of yearly award since then. So I think I might have won it. I might be the reigning Reddit
something
king,
funny?
which is not really a good thing. But
I'm the reigning OpTic Gaming subreddit redditor of the year too.
Oh, let's go! Oh my god, Lion Man, what are you the reigning Redditor of the year of?
Don't touch Reddit, and that shit scares me.
That's mad, Austin. Wow, you're really a OpTic
It was
fan
like
at heart,
2019. I don't think there has been anything since then.
Wow, you guys are so famous.
Yeah, we really. This is our biggest claim to fame, I think, Austin. Like that we've got that Reddit ring. Yeah, I turned off the game spectre because when it got to 2-2, it's just boring. Unfortunately, so the telly's fully off. The telly will be on tomorrow though for the City Real game, because that's going to be a cracker. I'm absolutely certain. Yeah, stream full of champions. Okay, cool. Should we crack on? I think we should. Omar, are we good to go? Let us know if we are. I'll do a 3, 2, 1. 65? Episode 65? 64. Why am I getting that wrong still? I'm thinking we're ahead of the game.
We are.
Common Benzema masterclass, absolutely. LAT top 4 major 3. It's a hot take. Maybe is it a hot take? I don't know. We're not talking about thieves today, but we will be doing after the Pro-Am, because either they get smoked or they don't. So it's just how it works, really. It's just good logic. It's sounding like Will Buxton right now. All right, cool. I can do a cheeky countdown. Fantastic.
Make sure it's cheeky though. It has to be very cheeky.
Okay, it's got cheeky. I don't know if I can do specific cheeky. Okay, cool. Episode 64. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. All right, guys, Subscribe back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Welcome back to the Breaking Point podcast. It is episode number 64. We're back, the full array of the crew. We're live on Twitch and live on YouTube. Would you believe it? After the fact on all the podcast audio platforms. You guys have been killing it, by the way, on the audio sites as well. We get a load of listeners every single week. We don't have like the listener to 5-star review ratio, and review ratio isn't maybe quite as good as it could be. So if you guys would really appreciate it, 5-star review, that type of stuff. Some of you have already dropped them, which we do appreciate, but it really helps us out. So thank you very much indeed for doing that, and also support on the YouTube and all that stuff as well. Chat's going crazy, love to see it. Boys, how we doing? Austin, your team's back in action this week. Finally, Call of Duty is back. Hallelujah! It's been a long time. Don't know what the CDL are playing at. Like, I don't know what to even think anymore. Lion Man's up early. It's just a great time. The event's in a couple of days. Lion, how you doing? The bed is very white today.
Oh, my bed's so white. I'm looking strange colors today, but it's all right. Yeah, the fact that the league had this break, I don't know, man. It felt like forever. What do you reckon, Austin? Pretty shit, right?
Yeah, no, I've been falling asleep over here. Been wanting wanting it to return for so long now. But yeah, just excited to, finally have it after a month, Gonna be fun this weekend.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, look, first thing I wanted to discuss was Modern Warfare 2. A lot happened this week, to be fair. So Modern Warfare 2 is confirmed. We kind of knew it was going to happen. We know that that was this year's game is going to be. Now, we don't know 100% when it's coming out because Vanguard has been a disaster all across the board. It's not just the competitive Call of Duty community that hates it. Activision don't like it either because it doesn't sell. And they've said that it didn't sell because it didn't innovate at all. Basically, it was just too boring or something like that. So this year's game is going to push the boundaries of innovation beyond belief. And but that doesn't mean jetpacks, probably. Question is it going to be a straight-up sequel to Modern Warfare 2019? It probably is. Is the movement going to be any different? That's been all the big talk, really, of the last couple of days, Austin, is that, like, are we going to have another tack sprint slide cancel fest game? We probably are, to be honest, but there has been a lot of talk lately in the community, not just from the pros, but also from kind of like players on the more casual side of things, that they're kind of frustrated with the movement system that we currently have. And like, there's not been, I don't know how many years there's been in a row in Call of Duty when we kind of had a very similar movement system for many years. Like World War II was different, and then before that, obviously, a lot of the different boots on the ground games, they would always switch right between dolphin dive, slide, or whatever, and then we went to the jetpack era. So like, there's been many games in a row now where the movement's been very similar. Yeah, I guess Modern Warfare onwards, right, has basically been identical
BO4.
without. Yeah, I guess even BO4 you can consider, and I guess Black Ops Cold War didn't have tack sprint, so like there was some changes have happened, but
Yeah, there's been little
general,
differences.
in general, it's been very similar, right? So, I don't imagine this year's going to be much difference, but I kind of want some difference in the movement. I feel like it's been about time. What do you reckon, Austin?
Oh, yeah. So, honestly, I'm kind of expecting it to be more closer to Call of Duty Ghost movement. Just based off of like the leaks and rumors and stuff. There's like rumors of that the dolphin dives back, and the more I think of like all like the way you read the rumors, the more I think it's going to be like Call of Duty Ghosts, where you have like the dolphin dive. I think Call of Duty Ghosts had a slide, but it was pretty horrendous. And then yeah, and so that's what I'm kind of expecting. I'm expecting it to go a little bit slower pace because I think a lot of people just don't like the attack sprint, this craziness, and I think that's even common on the casual side as well. What I do like is that the game is obviously at a better position now in May than in any other year, probably in like 6 years, 8 years. It's been a while since they've been this far into the development cycle. So I actually like that. I think there's a lot of positives. Treyarch is going to be doing ranked play based off their posts. They said like they're going to be taking over ranked play for games, so it's going to be continue like the same thing every year, which I like. It brings consistency. So instead of saying like we should keep this, it's now you have that. Let's do some additions. And yeah, so I actually have some positives. I'm hoping they take as much from Modern Warfare 2, like the original Modern Warfare 2, as we can, like map wise, gun wise, and then go from there. And for people that are worried about the dolphin diving, like it's there's got to be some third movement. It's always been in a COD. Usually we've had sliding. There used to be exo movement. Dolphin diving is just like the good medium, just to have a third movement. It's more for like objective play, not really for challenging like a gunfight. So think of it as like diving onto the point. You know what I mean? Like that's usually what it was for. There was like some like little maneuver where you would melee and dive at the same time, and you would do like this little elbow thing, and then when you landed, your gun would be out, so you can kind of chow that way. That was kind of fun, but honestly, I'm expecting kind of like a combination of like Modern Warfare from 2019, Call of Duty Ghosts, and like MW2, like the original. So that's what I'm kind of like based off of the leaks. You really can't get much out of it, but just like I think that's how they're trying to paint it in the leaks. It's gonna be like kind of like old school.
Yeah. So I went to a party this weekend, boys, and sadly, I heard like 4 or 5 groups of people talking COD, and every single one said Modern Warfare 2019 was their favorite COD.
Ever.
Yeah.
All time.
So, in my opinion, Activision, Infinity Ward are going to be looking at the public reaction a lot for Modern Warfare and going to be putting as much as possible back into the game from that fucking disaster of 3 years ago. So who knows?
Best game ever, mate. What do you mean?
It was tragic. It was honestly tragic hearing all that. And so, yeah, I don't know what to expect. I really do hope they bring back a lot of Modern Warfare 2 stuff from the original. Even like noob tubes and stuff. I know that that's very controversial, but I mean, I'd like to see it because if the game sells well, then that's just good for Call of Duty. Even if the game is shit, they could maybe separate competitive and also making public matches as ratty as possible to make it like, you know, the perfect storm. So I don't know. I really don't know what they're doing. With the leaks and stuff, what can we really take from that? I think usually leaks are somewhat accurate. So I heard the dolphin diving thing as well. And I think that that would be a good place to go, especially with just like objective plays, like Austin said, and competitive, like diving onto the capture the flag just to like return it, stuff like that. I think we miss a bit in COD.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I think the thing I'm hoping the most happens is that the game comes out a bit earlier because Black Ops 4, I think, was end of October. If this game comes out like in October or early October or something, then at least we have an event by December, right? The off-season shortens because the most dead month of every COD is October, usually, because you have Champs in August, off-season, Rostermania September, then October is the depth of the off-season when I'm like scrabbling all across the board to try and find any content I possibly can. And then November the game comes out. Whereas if that's now moved a month earlier, then I'm maybe a happy man. We'll see how it goes. Any thoughts on that before we move on to roster stuff, boys? Because we've got a lot to dive into. It's juicy.
What, release date? The release date.
I'm hoping.
No.
I'm hoping it's if it's early October. I'm hoping we have early October. Like usually, like I'm talking like October 7th would be nice, and then to do 2 kickoff classics, one in November, one in December, and then you start the season off for like the CDL points, like right after New Year's. Like I'm talking like first week of January, and then you go from there. Because we can't have another fucking year of a release and then waiting 4 months for the season to start. I cannot have that. So let's just change that.
Yeah, hopefully if they do like a 2 kickoff classic thing, like maybe the first one's an open bracket one, because we haven't seen open brackets in ages. There's no reason why they shouldn't as well, especially if they're trialing this Pro-Am this week as well. So, you know,
Absolutely. Agreed. Let's dive in, baby. Okay, we'll begin with the Minnesota ROKKR. They made the change. Not exactly the change that I was expecting. I know we did talk about the possibility of this, but Major Maniac is gone. He's out of there. Well, he's on the bench again. Tough scenes for him, no doubt. And like he didn't really hold back in his tweets on the matter, to be honest, because tough spot. I mean, last year he gets benched for a while. He then comes back in for accuracy, wins the event with the team, and now after playing all right, he's now been benched again. It feels like he's been very hard done by. He said in his tweet that he felt disrespected by the organisation and by those around him, by his teammates, coaches, whatever. That's quite something. Now, Saint did say, from the coaching perspective, that in their trials they felt like there were 2 rosters that were very good and competent, and we're guessing one of them is, of course, the roster they went with Havoc in, and I believe probably both iterations had Havoc. The question was, because Priest has actually said that he's going to be the main now on this team, which does make me wonder that if Priest is technically the main and Attach is still technically the flex, even though there's not that many hills that he's going to need to pull out a sub for, or map for, like, or on maps where he's going to need a sub. So maybe there's another world in which, a Major Maniac for Priester change could happen again, because Priester feels like he's kind of been on his last legs for quite some time now on this team, to be perfectly honest. Look, I don't know. It's a one-man change. Havoc's in. I like that. I think that people have been very high on him so far in this game. So it's good to see him get his shot. And honestly, massive fair play to him, right? Given the fact that he turned down the New York spot and made it work by betting on himself. So credit where it's due there. I think even I was speaking to well, okay, maybe I shouldn't say exactly who I was speaking to. It'll come out soon enough anyway. But he was basically saying that Havoc's really been wanting to get on Minnesota for quite some time. That's been his like goal organization that he really wanted to compete for. So he's manifested it. He's made it happen. But is this move enough to turn this team around? Because I'm not convinced personally. I like it. I think it's probably better. But I do feel like Major Maniac has been hard done by, and I think the team loses quite a lot by getting rid of him. What do we think, Austin?
Honestly, I'm gonna have an opinion probably not a lot of people are gonna agree with. I would have liked to see Havoc for Standy. I think that would have gotten a team that was very 2-3-5. I think you would have had, Mike very good at S&D. Attach is like a little bit of like do it all. Like he has his moments, but I think he's kind of strongest in S&D. And then you would have had Preston and Colt on the SMGs. And honestly, I think that is a good SMG duo. I really do. I thought that would make them a lot more disciplined, a lot more fundamentally correct, like playing the game, like kind of like reminiscent of the old Minnesota they used to play. But like, I really think right now in this league, there are way too many top hardpoint teams. You're just not going to be able to be a consistent winner in hardpoint. You kind of got to switch your methods. I would have thought maybe target S&D and control, because right now there is no clear cut like top S&D and control teams. Like you have LAG that just did a terrific job at S&D, and that won them a tournament. Right now, like in hardpoint, you probably aren't going to win a map of hardpoint versus us, Texas. London's very good at hard points. Boston can win hard points. It would take a lot to do that. So I would have targeted S&D and control. I really think Havoc for Standy would have made them better, maybe in those two modes. And that's probably what I would have gone with. I really didn't think Mike was the major issue there. I didn't. It's really hard. Like, no matter who you took out of there, I have a feeling like everyone was always going to be like, I don't know, because there was like actually a couple of options you could have gone with. But yeah, I don't know how much better this makes the team. I feel like you lose a lot of like leadership. You lose a lot of like Mike is just a big talker in game to like keep you motivated, to keep you going. Like he's the one that's just like we're not out of this shit. Like buckle down, and he's the one that I think he makes a lot of plays in S&D. He's very like, okay, our team needs, we're in 3v4. I have to even this up. I have to do, like, he makes those plays. So I think they're going to miss that. But who knows how that transforms their respawns.
Yeah. Well, they've turned into the 4 SMG lineup, which is pretty wild. I mean, obviously Priest can play the flex and AR, and so can Attach. But a couple years ago, all 4 of these guys are SMGs. In my opinion, I felt like the reason they did this move was because to keep up with the top teams, I think they took a risk with making the team as fast as possible, moving Priest to the AR, bringing in another SMG, and trying to get them to pick up the speed a little bit. And maybe it's an easier way for them to be on the same page if they're all flying in together. So I don't know. We'll have to see it, but on paper, it does look like they just want a little bit more speed around the map to pick up their respawn and then try and keep their consistency in S&D. But, I mean, they haven't even been that consistent in S&D, so I think that they can't really call themselves a 2-3-5 team. Even if they did make the change that you were suggesting, I mean, they would have to pick up their S&D. So I think, yeah, they're just looking for pacing, looking for speed, looking for just more respawn prowess.
Yeah, I think that's true. I do wonder what the other roster was they were looking at, because I did hear that Standy was like kind of lucky to survive in a way. So I don't know whether that was the other option they were considering there, was like Priest, kind of as you suggested, Austin, Priest of a Standy effectively, and then change the roles around again and bring Maniac back. I don't know. It's a possibility, and it might be one on their radar, because it's kind of a great tournament here to just see how things go for the team in a proper setting, because you've got at least like good 3 matches, and if you make it out of the groups, you've got at least another one as well. So you've got a good kind of setup. They're in a weird group though, because the Ultra Academy Europe has just made a change that's been forced due to the London change we'll talk about, and so have OpTic made a change for this event. So the only full team they're playing is Florida in the group. So even then, it might be a little bit harder to judge how good your team is. But if they can win like 2 game 1 hard points out of their 3 series, they'll probably say, okay, we've actually made some progress here. And I agree in terms of pacing. I think it's a good idea to like, let's just switch around the roles, switch around the players, try a entirely different roster construction effectively, and actually see if this works from a pacing perspective. And if it doesn't, then they can go back to maybe what they were doing before. But if it doesn't work, it's probably an indication of like, it's time to, plug it in and blow it up, The other thing, just to mention real quick, I'll throw it back to you, Austin, is that Temp mentioned on stream, he was like doing some stream with Zuma, or they were just chatting basically, and he reckoned that Paris had scrimmed them a fair bit, and he reckoned that he could like tell that these guys were just playing for kills. And look, I mean, Looney and Saint are smart enough to see through that to a degree, but at the same time, it's not going to make it so easy to pick your best roster when there's potential scoreboard manipulation going on, let's just say.
That's why... Like, I like the trials, but I think you need, like, if every team had a secondary roster, like an academy roster, then you can trial players in there and then see if they're actually playing fundamentally correct, or they playing the win. And then if they go to the next stage, then you can bring them up to the main roster and have them trial there. That's kind of what I see in the future happening. I don't think the trials, when you just have one roster and you literally just, they're coming in, they're only trying to impress you. They're not going to be doing the dirty work that might not get as many kills that you might need on a roster. I did see like some like crazy stuff that like people were just like, oh yeah, I would have just thrown against them just to make them want to do that roster. I'm like, God damn, I would be fucking livid if my team threw maps versus anybody. Like, my mentality in practice is, like, I want to get better every day, right? But I also don't want to give any team any confidence. I want to put every team in the fucking dirt. I want every team to be going in and being like, oh, we're 0-36 in scrims. I don't even know what map to play these guys on. Like, I don't want to be, like, saying... I don't want a team going in and being like, oh, yeah, with our new roster, we just won 6 maps versus them in practice. Like, I'll be fucking irate. And, like, I don't know, like... As much as like we have like a lot of practice, you really don't. I'm not gonna be wasting a day to make some other team have a false ego. Like, I would be so fucking pissed if our team did that. But like, yeah, on the trial side, I do like how it's at least a change from how people were doing stuff. I like that teams are making the snap decisions just to bring in somebody. I don't know what the perfect like situation to do that is, but I do think if teams have academy rosters, it's much easier to trial somebody in an academy roster, see how they perform there, and then see if they're good enough for, like, because that's a way where your coaches can see their gameplay without them purposely just playing for like kills, which honestly probably is kind of what's happening in the trials. They're trying to play for them, not for the team. Most likely. Maybe they're not. Maybe they actually were, but we don't really know.
I mean, it must be hard when you're in that situation. It's your livelihood on the line.
Exactly, yeah.
And their goal is to keep their livelihood. And the only way, really, that people judge that is by your KD. I mean, unless the team's performing well. Like, you look at players like Temp, the reason people are saying he's, like, still good and the rest of the roster sucks is because he has a 1.2, whereas the rest got, like, a 0.8, 0.9. Whereas in reality, you can't say he's playing... Well, you can, but you can't really say he's playing better because the whole team's getting shit on. So I assume, yeah, the trials are probably filled with players who just want to keep their spot, gain a spot, and the best way to do that is to get 50 kills and 20 deaths. So, yeah, were they saying that ROKKR were kill whoring?
That was the implication, yeah, that ROKKR were, some of the lads were, Temp reckoned, were playing to look good on the scoreboard,
Could be a little bit ironic, but that's fine.
Oh my God. Can you believe it? Can you believe it, stream, that Lyman really just did that? That's why Big Don's a B- player in the flex tier list, all I'm going to say. Even though I don't know if Live I got to vote in that one. Anyway.
Oh yeah, I don't think he was here for that.
Yeah, you don't unfortunately not on that one. Okay.
Boys, you guys leave me out all the time. I fucking... Trash.
Yeah, it's our fault.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, let's talk, because actually this is rather relevant, because we'll talk about Clayster soon with New York, because Clayster reckons that he had some brief trials for New York and he was dropping a 1.4 every hard point. So, maybe a similar discussion we can come on to. But anyway, Crimsix versus Neptune was a big thing this week. It was all over the place. Couldn't believe what I was seeing. Crim was coming out. effectively there's been some sort of internal struggles. I mean, look, when Crimsix is about anything's possible and it's going to happen, but you know, there's been all sorts of talk about Neptune. Like, how good is this guy? Was he actually like, how is his ego just too big? Does he think he can tell Crim and Clay how to play? Because that's effectively what Crim was saying. That Neptune came in and was like, look, I think I can run the AR better than you guys. Let me do it. And then they got smoked harder than they usually do. Now, Crim then comes out and says that Neptune tried to effectively throw him under the bus to the rest of the team and say that Crim's the problem, and the rest of the team weren't really buying that. The rest of the team didn't want to play with him. Crim kind of knew the team was chalked 3 weeks in. He reckons that Clayster should still have a spot somewhere. He was kind of the odd man out initially, but unfortunately, he just didn't really work on this front. And then Neptune's been dropped again, to our knowledge. Hasn't been officially confirmed, but I mean, look, it's 99.9% happening. The Neptune's out of there because he's been down in challenges. Kismet's coming in. So Neptune gets dropped twice in a couple of months. Crim comes through and basically says, look, that's for a reason. The entire league doesn't want to play with him either. And basically just said there's no offers for him either. So just completely tarnishes his reputation. Usually what you do when you drop someone or whatever is you say, it just didn't work out this time. He's a talented player. He's a good kid, maybe on another team dynamic it can work. Crim doesn't do that, really. He just says, no, this guy's terrible. No one wants to play with him and get him out of the league effectively. So an interesting approach. Octane kind of said that he probably shouldn't have done that, right? Probably shouldn't have done tarnish the reputation like that. But, Crimsix knows what he wants at this point. So, initial reaction to that, Austin, like the change, Neptune gone again. I honestly think the one-man change that they made initially with Paul X, whenever you place top 12, it's probably not good enough, regardless of some good, decent results online. Even considering those results online, they had their 6 hardpoint wins in a row. They were against the worst 3 hardpoint teams in the league. So how much does that really count? What do you reckon?
Yeah. Well, first off, we got Tactical Shotsy on the podcast now. But
was that? Do you think I went too hard there?
No.
You at the start of the show, you were like, "We're not going to say who it is."
Oh, I see. Okay, wait, I mean, come on, man.
I know it's too late now, man. It's a day before.
Oh, we already linked it ourselves. You told the stream earlier. We linked it on our fantasy.
We did. But
it's always Gersh's fault, man. It's not Gersh's fault, but New York have got to start announcing these things earlier. The contract has been signed.
Gersh.
Whatever.
Whatever. Going back to New York, honestly, I don't even care about New York until they do something. I feel like we've been at this point now with them for 4 months now, where they just are kind of there. They look better, and then they get reverse swept by LA Thieves. And in this current state LA Thieves are in, that's just you hate to see that, especially for top 12. So yeah, until they do something, I mean, honestly, we can say any of those 4 players might look well at some point or the other, but at the end of the day, they have to start getting some wins. I feel like we talk about them so often, and it's just like, yeah, they play good, and then they get top 12, and they're still out of the top 8 for the season. So honestly, like, until they start winning or showing more signs of life versus top teams, I mean, it's gonna be the same thing. They're all individually talented. Team's not really working out. I mean, we'll see how this next generation does. Maybe it'll crack the code. On the Neptune side, I mean, I thought it was pretty bold to just start like I don't know. I feel like when out of any roster change, you really can't say anything because then it becomes drama, and then people start like. Then I don't know. Then fans start taking opinions. If you just kind of get dropped and just say like, I'm gonna come back stronger, I'm gonna learn from this, yada yada, the whole spiel, usually gets taken much better. Now it starts getting controversial. Now people are like attacking both sides. So now like there's a lot of negative for Neptune, a lot of negative for Crim. It's just like it kind of got blown up out of like nowhere. I did kind of like Neptune was saying he plays a more intelligent game than Crim and Clay do. I don't. It might be true. I don't know, but it was just like some of the things coming out on like both sides. I was just like, okay, like I don't think this is good for anybody, but except for fans who just want to see the drama. But keep going, I guess. But yeah, so kind of how I think of New York right now. It's just until they do something, they're just kind of there. They're just good talking points because everyone expects them to be much better than they are, but they're just kind of just there now. So I guess we'll see how they do at the Pro-Am. Maybe they'll turn it around, get some confidence. But yeah, I mean, this is what it is for that team right now.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway from this whole drama is I want to know how many thousands of dollars Tactical Rab has made from NYSL drama, my guy. Far out.
I mean, Crim says he wants the cut, but I'm just gonna keep spending all my cash on stakes. So
Nice.
that's how it works.
Yeah.
When I've any money left to give him.
I mean, you can just drop one in. I think, yeah, with this roster, I thought they were looking good in the quals for the last stage, and then they came to LAN and got reverse swept by LA Thieves, and I can imagine that was a huge dagger. So I didn't think going into the major that they needed to make another change, but obviously the internal drama got worse and worse, and then Neptune had to go. So is the talk right now that Neptune's looking back into Halo? I've heard some rumors. He might be heading back. I wouldn't blame him because his stock is at an almighty low after the drama with Crim. I think if you get into beef with Crim, you're more than likely not going to find a spot anytime soon. So
unless your name's Hook, but Hook's different.
Yeah, well,
he's a world champ. And he's won an event. That's the thing with Neptune, you know. It's like, can you really talk trash if you're Neptune and you can't back it up? That's, you know, it's tough, isn't it?
He says he plays smarter than a combined 56 championships and 6 world titles. You can't, and he's won none. Like, oh well. I think we don't know really the situation. I think we tend to side with the more experienced players, even though we don't really have anything to go off. So I think he's in a pretty tough situation because I doubt that it's really fully on his side. I can imagine that he was just not the type of player. I was talking to Steve, one of our owners at Breaking Point, and I think he has a little bit more inside information. And from his side, he broke down that it just seemed like Neptune wasn't a player that would gel well with Crim's personality. You know, his like tough love sort of situation that he puts upon like all his teammates. So I think that just didn't work out. And then sadly now he's just left teamless. So is what it is.
Yeah, I do wonder when Neptune goes next, because as you say, it's going to be tough with that expansion, right? Like when Crim's saying what he said, it's like, and I mean, he's already said that other teams don't want to play with him, and that of course happened before he was, you know, Crim said what he said, right? So it's not exactly going to help his situation. The Halo return could be a thing. That's been big. Hey, Halo scene confuses me, though, because we just had a big event this last weekend. And now there's 4 months until the next major. I'm like, all right, well, let me just tune out from Halo for the next 4 months. And then maybe I'll come back at some point. Like, you know, good luck ever getting a touch grab of Halo to do a channel when you just have no events, but fair enough. But, you know, the other part is Kismet. He's coming in. I'm just going to say it. It's how it is. He comes into the team. He slots in alongside HyDra. And the rest of the team is there as is still with Pollux and Crimsix. I don't know. I mean, Kismet seems to be a guy, I think, probably a slightly more, let's say, personality that can gel a bit better with what Crimsix brings to the table, I think. I think Kismet generally underrated player, frankly, in a similar boat to Havoc. It was very clear this season that pretty much top of challenges, Havoc, Kismet, number 1, number 2, in terms of S&G players. Kind of slim pickings after that, to be honest. And Kismet, most people might not know, but he came, I think it was top 4 at Champs in Black Ops 4 with Enigma 6, and then Modern Warfare with Paris Legion, actually a pretty decent lineup, all things considered, compared to some of their more recent, you know, iterations of the team, effectively. So, yeah, that's seemingly the team. It's another change. I think that the whole Crim HyDra thing is the way to go. I think that Kismet can bring the kind of pressure that Crim was saying. Like, he was asking Neptune to bring pressure and he wasn't really doing it. I think Kiz understands that. So I have more optimism for this team than I did the previous lineup. And they are in a group with a London team with a change and an LA Thieves team with a roster move, or the role change, sorry. So they have a chance to do something, but they're going to need to get out of their group if they want to prove anyone that this team's any better than it was before, to be honest. What do we think, Austin?
Yeah, I mean, here you go first, Lion.
I don't know, man. I feel like this. So we're just talking about the current lineup of NYSL.
Yeah, the rumored team that's going to come
the
through.
rumored or the announced tactical rab announced team. Honestly, I think it is probably the best iteration this season out of all the rosters they've had. I think it's the best lineup. Paul Lex has looked good. Crim's starting to play more like he's played in recent years. HyDra's been unbelievable all year. And then Kismet's been a top 2, top 3 player in challenges. So on paper, it can't really go wrong. It just depends on how well they mesh. Those are probably famous last words. But I don't think we'll find out at this Pro-Am because I think there's too many variables with this tournament. Not every team's their full team. And so I think, we'll find out at Major 3. But honestly, I think it should be all right. But I don't have like crazy expectations for this team. But weirder things have happened.
I don't really know this team. Like I think Paul's been good. Like I think he's been solid. Been a good flex. I think Crim's been solid. I think he's had moments where he's been on and off. I think HyDra's been okay. I think he hasn't been as like flashy as last year. I think he's been okay. I think this team still has a lot of communication problems. I don't really know how much better Kismet will be because I actually thought Neptune was playing okay, like pretty good at the end of the qualies. He was like top fragging a lot for that team. So I don't know how big of a difference Kismet's going to be, like that 1-for-1 change there. I don't. Maybe it's going to revamp a lot. Maybe there was a lot of internal conflict with Neptune and the rest of the 3. But honestly, I really don't think this moves the needle a ton. Like I still look at the teams above them, and if they can't consistently, like you got to pretty much pick a game mode that you can rely on at least one, and then be competitive in the other. And I don't see that in New York yet. And this Pro-Am is going to say a lot. Obviously, it's changed, so they could be completely different than what we saw before. But yeah, I don't know if it changes moves the needle that much to where now they're a COD champ, or like making it in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think I'd be inclined to go on.
Thing.
Please.
Kismet, I think, is one of the most underrated players we've seen in the COD League. Like, I think in Black Ops 4, he was a top 6, top 7 SMG on Enigma 6.
I think Brezzy was.
Brezzy, I mean, yeah, and then at Champs, what's his name? General played crazy with the scoped AR. Remember that? The ICR with the fucking...
Oh my god.
Whatever?
Yeah,
dude, he was throwing with that. But yeah, I feel like Kismet's a very underrated player, and that's going to be like a crazy SMG duo between him and HyDra. If they can get their pacing right and their communication on the same page, I think they could be crazy. I don't know. I've got decent hopes for them, but I think they just have to prove it, and then we'll see. I think chemistry-wise, it's probably going to be better because Neptune obviously didn't gel with Crim. So let's see. If Kismet and him get along, we might see some good things.
I'm like kind of optimistic, but at the same time, like their goal, I think, with this team is just to make champs effectively. Like it's kind of tough, but at the same time, if you're Crim right now, you're trying to put together the best squad you possibly had out there to try and give yourself a chance to actually make champs. They need to win a good few series. They're a few points off where they need to be to qualify. I kind of think this team might do it because I don't have much faith that Minnesota turn it around massively, and I think that's, even Toronto, I'm not convinced they're gonna still get the success they want to have with this roster. Like there's so many questions about who's making champs, but I think New York will somehow pull it out of the bag. I don't think it's going to be easy for them though.
I mean, bro, I have Team Moore making it out above all those teams in that group right now. I don't know about. I think Team Moore is the best team in that group.
In the group.
I mean, honestly,
I can't wait for the predictions, baby. Let's go.
I mean, honestly, we have London making a roster change. We have New York making a roster change. We have Thieves, who no one really knows what we're getting yet. And I mean, I'm gonna be real. I probably have War and probably LA Thieves right now coming out.
I actually like that. We've got to do that when we get to the predictions. I'm actually hyped to do that.
Honeymoon phases, Austin.
I mean, we have 3 of them in there.
Yeah, exactly. But which one do you think is gonna actually work the best? Who have had the most time to gel and get into that phase? Probably New York, no?
I don't.
Yeah, Thieves, I don't think that's going to be a honeymoon phase because they just changed roles. So I don't expect too much unless they've completely changed how they play. New York, fuck knows. And then I guess London, that's a really strange situation that we see quite
Yeah.
often with like mental health. I hope Gizmo's doing all right. But it'll be exciting to see what Harry does.
Yeah, you got to think though. First, I think they have the strongest AM team in their pool, and you got to think if you lose to an amateur team, like who plays them first? Like whoever plays them first, I think it's New York. You
We can
lose
have
to
a
an
look.
amateur team to start the Pro-Am, you're just chalked. That's tournament done. Tournament done. And quite honestly, I really think that Team War team's good. I think I've been watching them a lot. I think they're really underrated. If you lose to an amateur team in your first couple of games of the Pro-Am, you are going to be so mentally chalked. And I can see it happening, honestly.
Okay,
Just
London
because I rate that team high.
and then New York played them first game on Friday. So, yeah, we'll see about that one. I mean, like, we'll see what happens there. We've got to mention real quick because I did touch on it. That Clayster said on stream last night or a couple of days ago that he believes that he played so well in their kind of trial run they did, despite keeping Crimsix, that he reckons that if they like bomb out of the Pro-Am, that he might get the shot. Now, whether they do that, because of course that would be minus Crim plus Clay, right? Surely, and then kind of run it back with Clay and HyDra and see if that works, which would be an interesting one, but. Kind of maybe the pressure's on Crim a little bit to perform here because Clay's knocking on the door trying to get back in this team. Whether it happens, I don't know, but like if they do bomb out of groups, as we're potentially suggesting they could do, then maybe they decide to call the shots again. I don't know what New York management are really thinking the last few weeks, to be honest. Maybe it's going to work out for the best, but I'm not sure. Quick comments on that?
Did we ever find out who was all of the rosters that they trialed? Because originally, wasn't it? Crim and HyDra sat out, and then Crim came back, and then HyDra came back. Like what?
I think
what were the
HyDra came
rosters?
back first, and then like Crim came back, and I don't know how much of that they were trialing Kismet for. Oh yeah, General Kismet was true. Yeah, they were trialing General early on instead of. Yeah, I'm pretty sure day one was like General Kismet, Neptune, and Paul X.
I'm interested to know what roster iteration Clay was trialing. I honestly didn't even hear Clay was trialing. So like, I've really checked out for all the trials. We never scrimmed any of the trialing teams, so I didn't even get to see. But it seemed like it was just kind of like all over the place with both of them. I never really heard set names. It was kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't have any comments on that. I just didn't know that Clay was trialing. That was it.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I mean, it's tough to say because Clay sometimes he says stuff, but I believe him on this one.
Whether he trialed and he wasn't.
Well, no, but I mean, when he says he dropped a 1.4 in every hard point, I'm thinking, all right, come on, maybe you gassed it a little bit. But maybe it's true. Maybe Clay's is just a different beast with a slightly different iteration. Okay, let's talk London. We touched on it. Harry is in for Gizmo. Really tough situation for Gizmo again. I'm not sure what's going on. The discussion has been like personal issues, effectively personal problems. People have been theorizing what it might be, whether it's something maybe in his near immediate family, right? Because he went home briefly back in, I guess it was start of March or whatever it was, or middle March or something. Went back to the UK for a little bit. Paul X comes in and they look very good with Paul, it must be said. Aches made the kind of hot take that they'll be worse with when Gizmo comes back than they will be when Paul was briefly in the team. And a couple of months on, after their practice wasn't very good going into Major 2, they get top 8, or I think it was top 8 or something, pretty poor result that they weren't looking for, of course. They do have a nice kind of comfortable edge on most of the teams in terms of CDL points, so they don't have to stress too much about champs qualification. But still, Harry in for Gizmo is an interesting one. I hope that everything works out for Gizmo. Kind of interesting that he's actually playing a LAN at this weekend in Sheffield. There's like a LAN in Sheffield and he joined a team to play it. So it's kind of interesting that he's not in the US to play the Pro, but he's going to play this LAN anyway. So maybe it is about just being closer to family or whatever might be going on. But Shane was kind of implying in his tweets that he was like, being in the States and everything can take a mental toll on people, which makes sense, and it's good that London are kind of looking out for their boys in that sense. But it seems like every single year something like this happens with London, so don't really know what's going on personally. Anyway, hopefully it works out for Gizmo. Harry's in the team, which is a name that I've been looking forward to seeing for quite some time actually. break into the league. And there was kind of talk before the season began, really, as to whether this spot would be filled with either Gizmo or Harry, I think. And Gizmo got the nod in the end. Now Harry's in there, being the substitute anyway. That left Ultra EU Academy with a slot open, which was filled by Raffi, a player that I remember watching back in Infinite Warfare. Him and Emigrant Chain used to play the occasional Charles and stuff. I used to watch all their streams back in Infinite Warfare. So he's been a name that I've heard for many years, but never really broken in until seemingly now. So he's going to play the Pro-Am as well. Just an absolute minefield that's going on here. But London with the last minute change could not be really helped, because I was hoping that London, this is a good chance for them to maybe get over line. Zero can break his 1,800-day losing streak, or streak without a win, let's say. And it's probably not going to happen with a sub, but it just makes this Group C even more interesting, in my opinion, Austin.
Yeah, I thought originally that London were just going to absolutely run through this group. I thought they were going to be looking really strong. Last second changes throw off everything. I don't know how this team can come out. They can come out with barely any practice, because when did this get announced? It's got announced like a day or two ago. Teams traveled today. You probably had 2-3 days of practice. Like maybe they could pull the LAG still and like come out looking amazing. But at the same time,
do you reckon that he literally just got to the States yesterday? 2 hours later was in scrims. Like he was actually flying out. He had to fly out. So
you're looking at 2 days of practice. You're looking at yesterday and then Wednesday, and that's all you get for practice. And then you're going into matches. I think they play only once, maybe on that Thursday, maybe twice, because they play early.
Let me find it again.
But that is
once. They play War.
Okay, so that means they'll probably get some scrims in on that day. But like I guess maybe it's good that they play War. I mean, hypothetically, that's going to be the weakest team in the group. But like, I don't know. That's a real hard one. I still have faith in the trio. Nasty has been one of the most underrated players of the entire league this season. Afro has been I would say probably top 7 SNG. I don't really know the order. I would say he's got to be up there. And Trey has been one of the more underrated main ARs. So they still definitely, of course, they have a big chance to make it out. If I had to pick teams, I think I would just go LA Thieves and Team War, just based off of the time they've had the prep and how I think they're going to do. But London could still easily be London making it out top of the group, just because the trio are just carrying, and Harry kind of finds his role and starts doing well as the weekend goes along. So I wouldn't be terribly shocked.
The way I see it is, London are 2-0 when they've replaced a player. Well, Gizmo, when he wasn't there, they brought in Paul X with no practice, and they won 2 league matches. They look good. And also, I think if you put that roster together and put them into EU challenges, they fry every single team in EU challenges without practice. So I can't see them losing to Team War, regardless of them having a change like that. I think it's just really sad about Gizmo's situation. You did touch on the fact that London always seem to have these issues. Is it something about British lads when they're in the US, they can't control themselves? Who knows? Probably not that. It's probably just more, sorry, Rab, might be you soon. But I feel
you're chatting about.
But I feel like it's probably more family orientated, being stuck away from family, friends, all that. Must be tough. But he is getting paid like $100,000 a year to do it. So I mean, but with this roster, I think like they should be fine. And I think because they've proven that they can win when they have just a quick change, I think they should be fine. I think they'll probably still top this group pretty easily. Honestly, the talent's too much, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm kind of inclined to agree that they'll have a great run here. I'm weirdly confident in this whole sub amount, because I think that London just play. I don't know if when they had more practice with Gizmo, they started like overthinking things a bit, or I don't know. When they came in with Paul X, they would just plug and play, and the talent just shone, you know. And I feel like this team still has that, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm not convinced that they would smoke everyone in Europe, just because I know that Gizmo even said, I think, that last year there was briefly a period where it was Zero, Gizmo, and Nasty, I think, on a Changes team together.
Time machine.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah, they kept getting top 24. They kept getting smoked in challenges. It was like 3 out of 4 of the current team. But yeah, maybe a different story nowadays. Was I going to say something else? Yeah, the other thing I was going to say was I think that this is not. It's going to be planned to be like a slightly longer term move. Like they've said that Gizmo's basically the sub now. So I don't know how long, don't know if Oli wants to comment on this. Like, they're expecting Gizmo to be back in the UK, but I guess it's going to be too long for him to play the Major 3 qualifiers, at least initially. So this is probably going to be the team they're going to have for quite some weeks. So, you know, they're not maybe coming in with a kind of like, all right, this is a last minute situation, we've got to make the most of it, which is probably what LAG were thinking coming into Major 2. London are probably thinking, okay, you know, we've got to think about this for a few weeks to come. So I don't know if that really gives them a different mindset, but possibly it could help them or hurt them. I don't know.
I really do hope Gizmo's doing okay though. Like, I can't imagine moving to another country and not really having, like, maybe, I don't know if he's always, was he living at home before? Did he have that support system and he kind of misses it? Is there family issues? You don't really know. And like, that's something that's obviously probably taking a real toll on him. And I do hope he's doing better and we can see him in the future, like, come back to the States, whether it's playing in challengers until he gets another opportunity or something. I do hope he's doing okay, and we'll see him back in the States, even if it's just for a period of time, because he was one hell of a rookie season, like having a crazy season. And but yeah, it's always family first, and then I hope he is doing okay.
Yeah, he was having like a really good rookie season until he took that break. Like, he took that 2-game break, and then he kind of came back a little bit, like 80% of himself. And so what I'm hoping is that if he does come back, maybe Major 4 or Champs, that he's playing at that level he was in Stage 1, because that was like almost MVP level rookie. He was looking so good. But I just saw Team War posted your gas that you gave them. They're loving it, mate. They think that they think they're favorites now. Good shit.
Got to give them the confidence.
It's good. I mean, they're gonna back it up.
Of course. You were talking about how you wanted to remove the confidence from every other pro team. You've gone ahead and done it again, giving the AM some gas, really getting them up there, boy. Good shit. This guy's playing mind games.
You're too smart, this guy. He's undefeated. This is why FaZe win everything last year. This mind games are top tier.
I love how you added last year at the end of this.
Yeah.
I couldn't say it anymore. I had to make it clear that you guys probably win this weekend. It's tough to call, but I don't know, because your key rivals, OpTic Texas, they are not going to play with their full team. The confirmation comes through a couple of days ago from Rambo, Coach Rambo, that ILLEY is not going to play this weekend. He's come with some sort of thumb injury that he could still play, but I think it was getting particularly uncomfortable. He had to hold his controller weird or something. Shotzi was explaining it. He reckons, we'll talk Karma here in a second, but Rambo reckoned it's some sort of like ball of pus or something in the lower side of his thumb. I don't know how that really happens. He says it's not a cyst or anything that's too bad. They talked to someone about it and he reckoned it was okay. Yeah, as Nemesis said, he was playing 8s last night, so it must be on the road to recovery as long as he, take it easy and you don't want to make it any worse. But, it does raise a bit of concern, right? Because we've seen thumb injuries the last couple of years. We saw Alex back in Modern Warfare had to be subbed out for a thumb injury, and Exceed came in, and of course Zuma's whole wrist thing was a recurring issue, right? He had that back in Advanced Warfare, played still for a few years successfully, and then that kind of recurred and he had to retire. So there is a bit of a concern that you've got to be careful with stuff like this. Hopefully it does, kind of get back better quickly, but it does raise an awful lot of very interesting questions. Because General's going to come in, the sub of the team. Of course, General, really solid player, generally kind of an assault rifle main AR type player for the Enigma 6 teams and stuff like that. However, in recent times, let's say in Huntsman or Modern Warfare, he had to step into kind of Gunless's role when they were trying to try things out, and eventually he doesn't get the chance because Pristini comes through and they make that move. But General's finally got a chance to prove himself, right? Because he's sitting there on the bench of OpTic, which I'm sure is all right, but I'm sure he wants to play in the league, right? He wants to be on a starting team. There's a good chance for him to do that. Whether he can do a spart, that's obviously going to be a very big question. And really we'll see how this goes without ILLEY in the team, because we think ILLEY's going to come back for the Major 3 qualifiers, but is his leadership, what's his leadership like on the team? Does the team feel like they need him? With General, are they going to be way worse and way off the pace? Is it going to kind of prove how much of an X factor and how important ILLEY is to the team? Or is General just going to come out and fry and slay very hard, and OpTic actually look equally or even better with General, right? Who knows what's going to happen? It just raises a load of interesting questions. Scump did say though last night that their first day of practice was difficult in quotes. It was different to having ILLEY, and he reckons it's going to be pretty tough for them to get where they want to be. So I think maybe already they're finding things a bit more of a struggle with general. So really tough to say. Obviously, it is a short-term thing. They believe it's just going to be for this weekend, but it throws another massive wrench in the works of this weekend, right? And that Group B just got real interesting, I think, Austin.
Yeah, so I already saw it in there. Like, I think this is a different change than when Spart came in for LAG, because Pierce wasn't playing necessarily super slow, but Spart plays really hyper aggressive on the flex, and that's what changed for their pacing and allowed it to work really well. ILLEY plays really aggressive on the flex, and now you're going to General, who is a main AR. It's going to slow down the pace a lot. That's a different pace all around. And we don't even really know who's going to be running the third SMG on maps like Bocage, on Berlin for a couple of hills, on Tuscan for a couple of hills. Like, who's going to be that flex? We don't really know. There was a clip that came out of Dashy saying he hates the MP40 or doesn't like using it. I know General's always been a main AR since I've seen him come up in AW. Not saying one of them can't run it. It's just a different play style that you also have to adapt to in a new pickup lineup. It's just a lot to plug and play. Again, though, the remaining, like, you have Shotzi, Dashy, and Scump, who are all like probably they're in the at least top 7 players this year. Like, all 3 of them, they've been playing phenomenally. I still think Shotzi is like the league MVP right now for where he brings that team. But it's going to take a hell of an effort to really go the distance, especially when there's not a lot of room for forgiveness. Like, you really can't lose any series in pool play because 2 out of the 4 teams get eliminated right away. You can't slip up in pool play. And then when you get the bracket, it's a single limb bracket. So you really have almost 0 room for error, which is where, like, there's probably a little bit of concern. But at the end of the day, it's the Pro-Am for them. They're probably coming here saying, let's get some practice in before stage 3. Let's make a run. If we can do it, we can do it. Let's just have some fun with it. So they're probably coming into this with no pressure, which is probably a good thing for them, because now they can kind of just ball out and just have fun with it. And who knows, they could have a really deep run with that.
Yeah. Do you guys reckon that ILLEY's hand issue comes from Vanguard's obvious tack sprint issue?
They didn't have it in MW.
I don't know which thumb it is, whether it's his left or his right, which I guess would kind of
that makes sense.
Determine which one. I don't know though, but I must say it is becoming increasingly common to see these type of things.
Yeah.
Honestly, it sounded like a bone spur. Like,
yeah, that's what Crim said.
But like, that's something where it's really, you can just get it removed. But like, usually pus means there's a foreign object in there, or like something is happening. It's usually something where you can just have it removed, heal up, and then you're good. If it's not a cyst, so a cyst is like what Tommy had, Zuma, when he had his removed. It doesn't sound like it's anything long term. By the sounds of it, it sounds like something that just needed to be rehabbed and then maintained, and then it'll go back to 100%. So it doesn't sound bad. It sounded like this is just a short term thing. So I don't know. It sounds more of just like a kind of a freak incident than something that's been caused by the ATS or tax sprint.
Yeah, so with the OpTic lineup, I feel like I'm actually quite excited to see General play. We haven't seen him at the pro level since COD Champs when he came 4th, which is crazy. He's probably one of the best final placements of a player's career, other than like Swanee, who won his last event. But yeah, I'm excited to see him. I think, they've got no pressure going into this. I actually don't think many teams have pressure apart from probably the teams that are making changes, like LA Thieves, New York, ROKKR, maybe London to an extent, but not quite. So yeah, I'm just excited. I think it's going to be some great matches, good matchups, but I don't really have much more to add on that.
Yeah, kind of the final thing on the OpTic side then, because obviously LAG come into Major 2, they win it, and Spart's now on the team full time. Like, if OpTic make a miraculous run here and they win the tourney, I don't think it's the same, unfortunately, because it's the Pro-Am, right? If this is Major 3 and this happened and OpTic went on to win it with General, I still think they bring back ILLEY, just because of the type of team it is. But it like General's got a lot to prove individually because, as you say, Austin, there's really no room for error. And I think my concern is for General is that he's kind of put into this flex role where he's not really comfortable and he doesn't perform as well as he should. The OpTic fans are on him, like, you know, they're talking in his replies, and then he doesn't get maybe the spot that he might deserve on a team at some point. So really tough spot for General because you want the team to win, but at the same time you don't want to look terrible, you know? There's like, it's a tough one really for him. What do you think, Lion?
I think I've got a question. Do you think he would prefer to be a sub on OpTic Gaming, to be within the OpTic group, or be on a CDL team that isn't OpTic?
Be on a CDL team.
You reckon?
Oh, 100%.
Depends on them. Depends on the person. I think General. Yeah,
I thought you meant
would
General.
probably yeah, we are talking about General.
Yeah, no, he 100%. He wants to be a starter.
Okay, but what if that completely cuts his connection with OpTic Gaming and he's no longer like a part of the group? You know.
Well, he wasn't on OpTic Gaming for like the years he was playing, and it's not like he doesn't stream like too often, does he? It's not like he's like
part of their pre-shows and stuff. That's about it.
He's like in the culture, and he's like family. It'd be like, you know, Embo's losing.
The
his
Hex
spot
brings back the family. That's the thing. That's what I would say. Is like even if
he could always
goes,
return.
It's like Maniac went to Mutineers, right? Like
Yeah.
it was Florida Maniac for some
Formal
reason.
left too. Formal went to LG. Formal went to LG in Black Ops 4.
But Formal definitely like wouldn't have left. Even if Formal had the drive to still compete, he wouldn't have left again. I don't think to go elsewhere. Like
in Halo, he would have.
Well, in Halo, that's a good point though, because like, yeah, would he have left OpTic as an org to go and play for like a Sentinel full time? Maybe he would have done, but like, I don't know if he wants to do that. It depends on players where they are in their career. I think
most of these guys,
yeah, it's like because he won 19 championships with that organization, whereas General's just in there because. Do we even know why General's a part of OpTic? Like,
well, he was just a sub. He was their sub.
How did he get that?
In Modern Warfare, they just needed a sub.
I don't know why they picked him up. To be fair,
and
it didn't really make much sense to me. The fair play.
Yeah, he was always just close to people. Like him and his, I knew like his parents were always like close with other teams and stuff in Black Ops 4. Like I always used, they were like we talked with them with FaZe. Like they were always around. So I think they just had a close connection. When he didn't get a starting spot, I felt like that was just an obvious like plug and play for that Chicago team. Especially because when you looked at their roster, I'm pretty sure their SMGs were just stacked, wasn't it? It was Envoy, Gump. Who's the other?
Talking Modern Warfare.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Envoy, Scumping. It was Bastini towards the end. RCTs, and then Formal.
Yeah. So they were really stacked at the SMG spot. So they probably thought, let's just plug in AR for our sub in case anything happens. So yeah. But he was always like a top AM.
He was, yeah, and he finished his career at a high point, finishing 4th. There is no information about like because his parents are quite well off about investment within OpTic, or
I don't think so.
Getting down the rabbit hole right here. I don't know actually, because I feel bad because Enigma 6 as a brand was so cool. Like I thought the logo was stupid, but it was a cool brand. And now it's kind of gone, and it was like his brand basically, because him and his parents, this type of stuff. I guess they didn't quite have 25 mil to spare, unfortunately, which makes sense. But you know, it's one of those things.
Yeah, I don't think because like right now it's all Envy. So like if it was before, it's not anymore.
Yeah,
but I don't think it ever was.
Okay.
Yeah, I do like. It's interesting. I remember a story about because we were talking about General and General's parents, like Sondra General, right? Like she, there was, I think it was Anaheim. I don't know what I'd said or done, but I must have said something in a video because like some of the parents watch my videos and stuff, which I find kind of funny. But I must have said something about General, and then there was like 2 rows in front of me at Anaheim. There was this girl who turned around and like recognized me and was like, General's mum like hates you or like doesn't like you at all. I was like, what? Wait, what did I do? And then General's mum was like sitting over there. So I was like, well, you know, whatever. If you want to talk it out, talk it out. But like, no disrespect towards General. I think he's a great player. I don't know what I said or did, but
Brad,
that's esports mums are hilarious. I give it to them.
Just like we've seen today, when you are in COD mode, you are quite unfiltered. You will say what's on your mind, and people sometimes don't like that. And Sonra, like her being a mum of a player, I can see why. Parents come at me for fucking trading cards, man. Like, they get mad about a 65. Like, who gives a shit?
Good point.
Just,
Good point.
you know, it's just, I think they're the biggest fans. And so obviously you'll probably like, said something a little bit iffy, as you do. And yeah, took it personally. So,
The parents are going to defend their kids. This is the way it goes. Yeah. It makes sense. Okay, I think it's about time we do some bracket predictions, baby. So what we're going to do, I think, that story is kind of funny. I haven't said that one before. We're going to bring up the groups, and then we're going to predict. I think we'll just predict top 2 from the groups. And I know that Austin's really bullish on Team War. I think we have to pick one amateur team, don't we? Just to make it interesting. Because if we don't pick an amateur team, one does make it through, then we're going to look like we should have done it, right? So anyway, if the group's up on screen, oh well, I accidentally put 2 of the same bracket on screen, but that's fine. That's only from my perspective. Okay, Group A, Atlanta FaZe, Seattle Surge, Toronto Ultra, Strike X. Strike X, I have no faith, but at the same time, Fire 40 and Silly Baby, they're coming for the crown. Can you imagine the memes if they somehow get out this group? Or like, you know, what a fantastically memeable team that really is. So fair play. Now, this might be relatively clear cut on paper. I think the FaZe Surge series again is interesting, but I just think you guys, like Austin, you've got something up your sleeve this event. I don't know. I feel like you lads are covered in with the absolute fire. And Toronto, they decided not to make a move, even though I think that if they fall shy here and at the start of Major 3, they probably will have to pull the trigger on something. And Seattle on the uptick, I think, honestly, FaZe and Surge are significantly better than both Ultra and Strike X. That's just my perspective. But, you know, Austin's probably going to say that his boys are coming forth for good karma.
No, I think we're making it out. I'm not gonna put that bad.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
But honestly, for this group, I am a little bit nervous. Like, I obviously think we're gonna go 3-0, but I'm a little bit nervous we could get some of those old school COD champs where 3 teams go 2-1, and there's the Fugaze map count tiebreakers. Yeah, and honestly, I think this might be the most likely group. Yeah, because I kind of rate the Toronto Academy teams a little bit like better than Strike X. So honestly, I still have to go us in Seattle, but I just think Seattle's like underrated, like has been flying under the radar just because they didn't have that great of a placing because like Matt got sick at the last event. But like I really think they're a lot better than where they were before, and if they can carry that momentum into this tournament, I definitely feel like they're gonna be knocking on the door for like a really high placement at this tournament.
Yeah,
mostly too, because people forgot because they're in our group, like whoever the 2 teams are, you're going to be placed on the other side of the brackets. So with Texas now having ILLEY out of the lineup, you got to think like who's the next level of threat. And I don't know who you would place high, but like because we're in the same group, they'll be on the other side of the bracket. So the next time we could possibly play them would be the finals. So if they're carrying a good momentum, they could realistically like make a really deep run here.
That's a very big possibility. Yeah, we'll see. It's gonna be interesting how these groups work out, but I think we'll say. Wait, did I just steal your thing, Lion? Who are you gonna go? Are you on mute? I stole your thunder. I got really distracted because I was trying to put something in the chat. My bad.
Okay.
I'm gonna shut up for a whole minute now.
Strike X obviously have a lot to prove because it's the most memed. It's like 3 of the most memed players on one team because it's Assault, Fire, Silly. They've had some moments in the last 2 years, so they've got a lot to prove. And so does Ultra.
Wait, it's Gunsy, Fire, Ramby, and Silly.
Oh, the fuck! Where does Assault come into that? Never mind. Okay, well, at least you got Silly and Fire there, the 2 most memed as of the last 2 years, for reasons. Ultra have something to prove. Strike X have something to prove. Seattle and Atlanta, I don't think you guys have that much to prove, honestly. For a single elim Pro-Am event, that means nothing. I think I could see Strike X making some noise, honestly. And so if I was going to take anyone out of this group, I think it's obviously got to be Atlanta and Seattle, but I would love to see it be like Seattle and Strike X. Sorry, Austin, but I think that would be really funny if you guys didn't make it out. That's all I want to
happen, man.
That'd be hyped.
I don't know, man. Might.
Sandra General's in the chat. Let's go. Oh, well. Thank you very much. I wasn't sure what I'd done, and so obviously there was some fake news going around at that event, but yeah, and of course you were very much involved with the linguistics, so appreciate that. Glad glad we could resolve that one amicably. About time. Okay, cool. So Group A, we're going to take FaZe number 1 seed, Surge number 2 seed. I think. Do we agree, Lion? We don't have to agree because me and Austin are saying that. So. But yeah.
Yes, obviously that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Sure. Okay, cool. That's fine. Group B. I don't know what's going on in Group B because I want to take Florida and OpTic. I think. I mean, Florida should really make it here. If Florida don't make it, it's kind of embarrassing because OpTic have a change. ROKKR have a new team. Ultra Academy Europe, they also have a new team. So I don't think that Ultra Academy Europe are going to do much here, to be honest. I kind of want them to, but with their last minute change, Harry for Rafi, I'm not sure that's going to be what they need, to be honest. And they've got like no practice anyway, because I'm pretty sure Rafi just hopped on a plane. So not optimistic about their prospects. So I really do think it's 2 out of the 3 of the pro teams again. And I don't know. I think the Mutineers, I think they should do enough here, to be honest. I think they'll beat... I mean, they beat OpTic last time with their full strength team. So I almost fancy them... Well, I probably do fancy them to do it again, to be honest. And we'll see how this ROKKR team fares, but I think that there might be some Game 5s on the cards here, and I think they might suffer with the lack of the Major Maniac on their team. So I might say Florida OpTic get through. Might even take Florida number 1 seed here, to be honest. But what do we think, Austin? I don't know. I hope OpTic make it through, because it just makes more storylines, to be honest. And we could get OpTic FaZe round 1, which is always nice.
Yeah, I definitely think it's OpTic and Florida. Florida has a really tough first day. They face Minnesota and then Texas right after. So that's a tough one. Like, that's a tough day. But if they can make it out of that at least 1-1, maybe 2-0, they face the Toronto Ultra Academy on Friday. I think that is doable. I think this team is really hot and cold, but all they need is one good day. They just need to have that one good day on Thursday, and then they're in the bracket play. So I would put Florida and Texas. I can't doubt Texas. I still think General, he's a substitute for a reason. Like he's a suitable replacement for them that will play the role that he needs to, and he's a really big vocal leader inside the game too. So he's going to speak a lot. He's going to be kind of like do his most. You still have Shotzi, you still have Dashing, you still have Scump, and Ray and Troy are still going to have you well prepared. So I can't not put them there. It would be kind of silly not to. So those are the 2 I have.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. But there's something about ROKKR and like having Havoc come in where I'm feeling a little bit optimistic about them making like a bit of noise, because every time we do these predictions, one of the brackets that we do, or like all the brackets that we end up doing, are way off. So the likelihood is we're going to get this wrong, and one of these other teams are going to get out. I don't think it's Ultra Academy. I think it's between. I think Florida is pretty clear cut. They're the only team that haven't had to make a change. I think that they're locked in. It just really depends if General works with this lineup, or they have enough time to gel as a team. And then ROKKR, I think, it just really depends if they get their pacing right, because that's the biggest 2 things on both those sides. So I think if ROKKR get their pacing right, they should get through. If Texas gel, they get through. Simple as that. But I will go OpTic and Florida.
Do we want to take Mutineers number 1 seed? Because if we do, then that decides our bracket, because we're gonna walk through a bit of a bracket prediction as well. So I think that's probably fair. I think OpTic number 1 seed might be a bit of a push here, to be honest. But I'd like to see them get out of the groups. Okay, so let's go FaZe Surge from Group A, and then Mutineers, OpTic in that order from Group B. I feel like Mutineers, they might be good to turn up at the... In Valorant, they call them Mickey Mouse tournaments. This isn't quite a Mickey Mouse tournament, but this is like Florida's home ground, you know what I mean? I feel like a tournament that doesn't have quite as much weight on it. Maybe that's just me being mean. Okay, Group C. This is completely wide open to me. I think any 2 teams can get out of this group, and that's where it's really exciting. So I don't even know where to begin. So I'm just going to decide not to and throw it to you, Austin, because I know you're.
I mean, my picks,
but you can say it again.
I'm going Rogue in this group, honestly. I really think Team War has a very good chance at topping this group. for people who don't watch EU Challengers, because I know it's not very well shifting his group to a fucking terrific job of broadcasting it, but it's not very well advertised by everyone else in the league. But Wardy is a very good player. He's very good. Wee Man has been a very good main AR, AR player over there. Denza has been around for a minute. For any of you who don't know, he was, I believe, World War II was the last time he was in the Pro League. And Maple was on the Singularity team in Modern Warfare that were winning like all the tournaments. Like they were like the Texas Nation of that year for EU. So it's a very, very good group of four. It's been the best EU team now for a minute. I believe, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think they've won 2 of the elites. I know they at least won the most recent one, or no. Well, either way, they've been one of the top EU amateur teams. They're either first or second best. They're very, very good. So I rate them very high. So I think they could easily top this group just because this group has had so much turmoil. Like London has a new player, LA Thieves is doing a role change, and New York has a new player. And you're talking about very little practice probably between all 3 of them because a lot of teams took off time, and then now you're slowly getting back into the thick of it. So if they can gain some momentum, I'm talking just like one win, and like I really think they have a good chance of topping the group. I think realistically a 2-1, if they go 2-1, that could cement them up there. I feel like this is gonna be a group where you have 2-1, 2-1, 1-2, 1-2. So yeah, I have them in Thieves. I think Thieves will kind of shock everybody. I really want to pick the Ravens just because I know like Trey and the boys are still gonna do good, but I kind of want to go Rogue in this group because we've been kind of cookie cutter so far. So I'm going to go with the Thieves and War.
I think I'm just going to say what I think. I think War and London get out. London prove that they can play with that 3-man with an extra player and win. LA Thieves have looked, I mean, have we seen a team that's struggled more this year? Probably not. Maybe New York in stage 1. They're coming straight off the back of that. So I don't see much there. I think New York could be pretty decent, but we just have they're in a known quantity. With the new change with Kismet, which we announced on the show. So yeah, I think War and Royal Ravens get out. And I think London top this group and War second.
Yeah, I actually really enjoy the fact that we're picking War here because I feel like it's so, I don't know, but I'm fully on board now because I really like this team when I was watching them at the major Minnesota Major 2 event, but yeah, to pick the team to go with them, it'd be funny if I went New York Subliners and the only team we all agree on is Team War. I don't know, it's gonna be a tough round. I don't want to get too delusionally confident about Team War, but if we've got to pick one group that an AM team gets out, I think this is the team and the group to do it, frankly. The team that joins them there, I think that Subliners, I'm not actually sure they're quite good enough, and again, with little practice. Thieves have said that they're beating every team that they should be beating. They should improve a lot, but I do have this kind of, I do have this faith in Ravens for them to somehow put something together because I think that when they're kind of in this mode of, okay, let's just go out there and like give it our all and just put all the talent on the line, that's when they actually shine much more than people expect. So I'm going to go and join line on this one and say we're going to have like an all-European team out of Group C and say, okay, it's going to be Ravens War, number 1, number 2. There's going to be I think there's going to be some tiebreaker situation here, but let's do it. Why not?
I don't hate it.
With that, War is 1, Ravens 2.
Wow, War is 1. We're going War 1.
Because we all picked War and 2 of us picked Ravens.
True. We've got to do that then. That's a good point. Okay, Team War, number 1 seed. War Surge in the chat. He's absolutely gassed. Let's go. Okay, beautiful. Team War, number 1 seed from Group C. Heard it here first. I can't wait. Okay, cool. So we've got FaZe, Surge, Florida, OpTic, War, Ravens, and then Group D. I honestly think Group D is kind of clear cut, but maybe I'll just begin because it's easy, at least in my opinion. Like Ultra Academy NA are good, very solid. I think they have a chance here, but to me, Boston and LAG are both kind of like solid teams now. Like Boston don't really lose to teams that are worse than them. They can certainly lose to LAG, but I think that there's no real chance that Boston lose to Paris or Ultra Academy North America. Possible, but unlikely. And I think the same boat with LAG, to be honest. I don't really know how to call the series between Boston and LAG because last time we went Game 5 when they played the major in the losers finals. And I think that LAG have consolidated a bit. Their search and destroy probably won't continue at that crazy level, but they've been working a lot on their hard points, bringing Berlin Control in, as have Boston Breach, right? So two teams that kind of haven't really had any turmoil. They've had the chance to kind of, make sure that their floor isn't so low. They want to work upwards, but also kind of consolidate with the talent they have. Paris, again, they could maybe, get a victory against one of those teams, but it's the same with all of these groups. It's kind of tough to predict, and I don't know what their kind of headspace is looking at this point after so many promising series to then still be in a tough spot and getting paid minimum salary. It's got to be tough. And the North American Academy is good, Mohawk, Scrappy. I'm looking forward to seeing my boy in action. I don't think it's going to be enough though. So to me, I think it's Boston LAG. I think I might take LAG #1 seed, but I don't know. What do we think, Austin?
I'll do Boston #1 seed and LAG second. I just feel like if Boston plays this right, when we saw them last, out of all the respawn maps, so there was 6 last time. LAG only really had a good record on 2 of them, which was Berlin Hardpoint and Gavutu Control. What they were very, very good at was S&D. So if they play the vetoes right, I still think Boston should have an advantage as long as they can. Probably, I would say you would probably have to close it out in 4. I probably don't want to see LAG in a map 5, so I'll go Boston 1 and LAG 2.
I agree, exactly the same. I don't have much hope for Paris. They haven't proved it all season. And Ultra Academy, I can see them winning a series, beating Paris, but I can't see them touching LAG or Boston. But yeah, I do have Boston 1, LAG 2. I think that's fair. What do you reckon?
I think that's also fair. I think I would say it's tough to call either way, but I think those two teams are pretty clearly should be favourites. I'm trying to build us a little bracket here. I don't know if you'll be able to bring this up on screen in the short amount of time, Omar. But I'm trying to build what this will make the bracket look like real quick, because I kind of just want to bring that up for the boys. I think that this is right, Omar. I don't know if you're able to bring this up on the screen, but I think if I compare that to what I've just seen. So anyway, the groups are as follows. We've got FaZe Surge making out of Group 8, Mutineers, OpTic, War, Ravens, and then Boston LAG kind of in order. So what that means is that when the bracket comes along, which I don't know what you want to bring up on screen, Emma, maybe just the one without these teams yet, because I still want to make sure I actually got that right. But I think I did. Group B first will play Group A second, which is correct. Team War would play LAG in that case. Yeah, that's true. So anyway, let's go to the first game, because this is single elim, so we can kind of rattle through it again, to be honest. And we'll have FaZe OpTic is going to be the top winners game. It's tough to look past FaZe in this situation. I know that OpTic have a good record against them so far. We unfortunately got deprived of this matchup at the major because OpTic lost to Seattle, and we got deprived of it again just before that because, Pristini came in for Simp, and then we're getting deprived of it again, in theory, because General's in here for ILLEY. So it's kind of like, last year we barely got any OpTic FaZe. This year when we do get it, it's not even the real teams. So yeah, I don't know. Tough to look past FaZe here.
Yeah, I gotta go with my team, but I'll just leave it blank. Like, what do you realistically see happening here, Lion?
I think OpTic probably win the search, but that's it. I think it's a 3-1 FaZe. I don't think the respawn. I don't think they've had enough reps to be able to compete, especially with you guys being dogs and always coming in prepared. So I see you guys winning 3-1.
I still think it's gonna be really, really close. I don't want to discredit OpTic. The one change, it changes a lot because ILLEY's like their glue guy. I still don't think it takes away the playmaking ability. So I would still say probably like 3-1, 3-2. It's very reasonable to say in this.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So the next game is Boston Ravens.
Wait. Where is your prediction, Rab? You're not
oh, did I not do one? Did I not say it? I thought I said it. I thought I said FaZe are winning. Okay, I'll give FaZe a 3-1 fashion. Yeah. Okay. I mean, but you guys already agreed, so is what it is.
Yeah, I thought you weasel out of one so you didn't get.
No, I ain't weaseling. You know me.
Yeah.
I think. Okay, so anyway, the winner of that will play the winner of Boston versus Ravens based on our brackets. Again, I think that this is. I actually don't know, to be honest, because Boston, when they play teams like London, they've struggled so far. And I feel like Ravens could do a number on them. I'm still not convinced by Boston, actually. Well, I should be convinced, shouldn't I? I really should be convinced at this point. But I'm still not convinced for some reason. So I'm just going to continue back in the European train and say London beat Boston 3-2 or something. Come on. Singular limb, baby. Anything can happen.
I'm going to go with Boston so I can put it in Lions' hands for the decision. I still think switching this late into the competition is going to be a big switch up for London. And I still think, well, Boston necessarily probably hasn't proven themselves versus the top teams, like the very top, like probably the top two, top three. They have proven that they are like a very good gatekeeper to the tier one. Like they beat everyone they're supposed to. So that's why I'll have them. I'll say 3-1 here. But again, like honestly, I really don't know what to expect from London. They could come out and look disgusting. That's what's so hard about this one.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're the one team with the change that could actually still be like just as good.
Yeah, 100%.
Because coming into this, Gizmo's form wasn't what it was, so it's not like he's being replaced, like the top player that he was at the start of the year is being replaced. It's like a more, I don't know. So I think, yeah, Boston, they kind of proved that they were top three, like guaranteed at the last event. They probably could have gotten to the finals, probably should have done, but they shot bodies. So I see, I see Boston winning the series pretty comfortably. I think probably 3-0, 3-1.
Okay, so Boston win. That's fine. I can accept it. So that will set up a FaZe Boston semi. Now, the other side, we get War LAG based on our brackets. Number 1 in Group C versus number 2 in Group D. I don't know, man. Can War continue the run? I just don't know enough about this team to be so confident. I think that LAG, honestly, LAG could be in a nice spot to make another run here. We'll see. Could be an LAG FaZe final again. That'd be crazy. Based on the way this bracket works. I don't know. I think that LAG put an end to the War Dreamland, personally. I think they get into the bracket, they do a nice job, they prove that, they can hang, and then they lose 3-2 to LAG.
Yeah, I like War a lot. Obviously, I've been hyping him up, but like I still got to go LAG. Your S&D doesn't fall off a cliff that quickly, so I got to go probably 3-1 LAG here. Yeah, I'm sorry. that the top 8 is still very, very good in the Pro-Am. I got to say that though. Top 8 would be amazing for any amateur team coming in.
You mentioned their S&D like not falling off a cliff, but I reckon every other team has watched exactly what they do in S&D now, seeing as they've got the greatest streak in S&D history.
I think you're giving too much credit. I don't think it has been studied as much as you probably think it has.
Yeah, well, maybe you're probably right. But I think they won't repeat that dominant S&D performance. There's no way. It never happened before. It won't happen again. Well, maybe not like straight away. But I do still see LAG beating them. They just won the last event. They've come in hot. I can imagine it's just a 3-0, to be honest.
Yeah, no Volk, which is correct. No Volk, but I still think the pacing was the biggest change that Spart brought. Not necessarily because if you look at his numbers, he wasn't really slaying that terrific. I think he had like a 0.99, maybe he was a little bit higher.
I think he made Slasher better, in my opinion.
Yeah, but that's the difference. Is he made everyone else around him better. He's got a lot of confidence. He's a good communicator, and he is very fast on that, which I think gave Asum the freedom to kind of go rogue and make routes again, because Spart could duo up with Hook, and then Slasher kind of guided the troops in the back. So like I still kind of think, even though there's no Volk, that team still has a lot of positives around them.
Okay, agreed. Omar, the bracket is, we had FaZe beating OpTic, Boston beating Ravens, and now LAG beating War. So the lower semi-final will be determined between LAG and the winner of Florida and Seattle. to me, I think I was kind of maybe given Florida a service, given them number one in Group B. But I don't know. I really like this Seattle team, the way they've trended. I think that they could have done more at Major 2. And I think that we might start to see the kind of uptick of Seattle that we expected to see in the latter half of the year. Like coming into this season, I think we all said, okay, Seattle should be. They have the talent to be serious contenders, and the leadership and like all the aspects of the team are built in a way to make them contenders. They became contenders immediately, which was a surprise. And when they fell off, everyone was like, okay, well, not everyone, but people were like, okay, they've got to make a change. Now they are on the upswing again, and I would be inclined to believe that will continue. So I think they've got another semi-final here. I think top 4 for Surge would be a good result, and I think they can beat Florida. I think it might be a game 5. I just have very limited faith for Florida to clutch up, but there's no fans, so maybe there's pressure. I don't know. It's a weird like land center environment. It's tough to call this series. I'm going to say Surge 3-2, but
I think Surge 3-0. It's not that I think Florida's bad. I just think like Seattle matches up very well against them. And honestly, I really do think that Mac is their best player, not like the one with the highest skill ceiling, because I think Pred and Sib can hit very, very high levels. But I think Mac is the most consistent player that gives you a very good ceiling, like a very good level of play consistently. And most importantly, he shows up against the top teams. I feel like he's the Grim Reaper of playing the top 3 teams in the league. So yeah, I think Seattle 3-0. I just want to throw at least one 3-0 in there. I feel like we've done a lot of 3-1, 3-2s.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you guys. I think it's pretty clear cut Seattle. But Florida have been looking better. I just think that it won't be enough to really take it to Seattle, who I think if they had their full team and Mac didn't get ill, could have been in the top 4, top 3 for the last event. So yeah, I think Pred and Sib honestly have been potentially the rookies of the year, just by how like their slaying is ridiculous. Like they are 2 of the best slayers in the league this year so far, and I think a team like Florida who aim like their main goal is to outslay their opponent, and that's what they seem to do in most cases when they win. I think they'll struggle to outslay them, which means that they will struggle to beat them. So I think I take Seattle pretty clear cut 3-0, 3-1 as well.
Okay, so our semi-finals are FaZe Boston and LAG Seattle. So we'll see what this one's going. Like FaZe Boston, this is like, who knows if Boston can finally do it? TJ told me in the interview we just did on the Breaking Point channel that they've been watching a lot of FaZe VODs, and they reckon, oh, not necessarily FaZe VOD, but they've been watching VOD and also they've been scrimming you guys, and they feel like they've kind of figured out how to beat you. Now, whether that's whether that reality manifests, I don't know. I think the FaZe are the better team, obviously, but there's a decent chance that Boston find their way past. I don't think it's going to happen here, though. I think that FaZe will just beat Boston every single series they play them in this entire season, to be honest. But that's just my perspective. What do we reckon?
I'll let you go first, Lion.
Yeah, I was going to say, else is going to do.
The point. We know what he's getting through. I was going to say Boston. I was hoping you were going to say Boston too, just to switch it up, because we always put FaZe through. But I guess we've been right every time when we put them through. So I mean,
they always make the grand finals.
They do.
Damn, man.
Yeah, I think they get through to the finals again. I think it's pretty obvious, but I will take Boston just for the sake of being different. So I think 3-2 Boston, but likely won't happen. What do you reckon, Austin?
Yeah, I'll go 3-1. I'll probably give Boston. I'll give them the map 2. It's really weird. It's really hard for Boston because they have the same map set that like us in Texas have. And when you find yourself in that position, I'm talking like your best maps. Like their best map is arguably like, I don't even know at this point, but like I feel like they match up just horrible versus us in Texas, which is bad for them, but it's good for everybody else because they are, rolling over a lot of the other teams. I think that contributes to why they struggle against the top teams. But at the same time, I don't want to just like act like we're just going to walk through this bracket of Texas, now Boston. It's going to be very difficult. It's best of one. Literally anything can happen. So I don't. Yeah, I don't like. I'm not gonna take it personally. Like anyone who thinks we might not make it, it's gonna be a grueler. I definitely because that bracket plays out on Saturday, Sunday, so I definitely feel like it's gonna be a fucking grueler of a weekend because it's just gonna be like high stress constantly through it. So I'll still go us. I'll go us 3-1. I'll give them the S&D and map 2.
Fair play. Okay, FaZe are in the finals. Who are they going to play? Is it going to be LAG? Is it going to be Seattle? I think that Seattle in these classic tournaments, as in the Kickoff Classic, as in the Pro-Am Classic, are going to find their way to the Grand Finals. I want to see the Surge FaZe rematch from groups in the Grand Finals. I think they have what it takes against LAG. I think that honestly, they probably should have beaten LAG last time. Like they had Classic in their team and they still took it game 5. Which was impressive, and I think this time they'll have the momentum to do it. I don't think that LAG quite have enough to make another final. I'm not sure, but I think that top 4 for them will be probably about right where they are. But I've kind of got faith that Seattle are going to make this run. I think that they could have been the team that made the run of Major 2, and they were kind of hit by unfortunate circumstances with Mac, and I think that this might be the one to make it happen. So I'm taking Surge 3-1, I think, over LAG here, if this, of course, happens, which is a very big question mark.
I'm going rogue. I'm gonna put you in a position line where you have to decide. I think LEG. I'm gonna go 3-2. Just because I still have faith in LEG's S&D to still be at somewhat of the level. I don't think they're gonna be winning 12 straight, but I think they're gonna be winning probably like 75% of their S&Ds. I think that's reasonable. So I'm gonna go them in a map 5, 3-2. So pressure's on.
This is big.
Shit.
This is your event winner.
I want Seattle to win because, APAC represent Pred. My heart is telling me, or my brain and my heart is telling me, G is just gonna win. Yeah, because I think that they will win both SNDs regardless, and then I think that they're a better control team. I think Seattle's got like very good at hardpoint, but I think LAG just all round across all game modes. They proved at the last event that they can compete with anyone. So I think LAG get through again, and I think it's a repeat of the Major 2 finals.
That'd be crazy if this actually happens, though, just because like it's been a good month, and if the same 2 teams were in the finals, that'd be kind of crazy. Like I think it's possible. Like FaZe is probably going to be there, not probably, but it's a good chance,
This wouldn't have happened if players hadn't moved from other teams. I think that these are 2 teams that are coming in hot into this event that haven't made changes or had to make a change. And so that's just ended up that way, just based on the matchups.
And also, like ILLEY not being on OpTic, Gizmo, the Gizmo change, whether or not they're going to be stronger or whatever, it's just about preparation because once you get into these bracket matches where you're facing the best teams, it's high pressure. I just don't know. Like, it's tough because out of the teams we have in here, there's like 3 of them that are going through a situation right now that either just put them in limbo a little bit. But it's super weird bracket. I'm telling you, there's gonna be like some like random team, whether it's Team War or whether it's like fucking Paris or
I'm down
New York. There's gonna be like some random team that just like makes a run. I can see it already, man.
We've got to choose our winner. FaZe versus LAG. I kind of wanted Surge so I could pick a different winner, but I'm still picking against FaZe in Grand Finals, unfortunately. So yeah, LAG are gonna smoke you lads 3-0 or something. But I mean, look, it's probably a best of 5 here, which is quite interesting, just because the Kickoff Classic was only a best of 5 in the finals, and I don't know what they're gonna do here. It could be a best of 9, but I feel like they just reserved that for majors. So it might just be a straight up best of 5 for the win here, which is sucks a bit, but.
It is.
I don't know.
There's only 3 matches on that Sunday. It's the 2 semifinals and the grand finals.
Oh, okay. Then maybe they will do best of 9 then.
But they also just did 2 teams make it out of pools with a single in bracket. So it honestly wouldn't shock me to do wouldn't shock me to see a best of 3 somewhere in here. So
yeah, like just play all the search and destroys for a game. I don't know. I'm going against FaZe because I'm bullish on the storyline that they're going to come second every event this year. I'm sorry,
bro. I'd be so pissed.
I'm sorry, but it's got to be done. I have to stick by it until it goes wrong.
Okay. I'm obviously gonna pick my team. So it's all up to you, Lion, again.
I love this.
I should have let Lion go first. That's my bad.
I don't know. I think if it's a best of 5, best of 7, best of 9, I don't think that really makes too much of a difference. Apart from if it was a best of 9, it would be more SNDs favoring LAG more so. So I think in a best of 5, I think FaZe probably take it 3-1. They get 3 respawns, lose the SND, and win the event. I think that without the pressure as well, they'll perform even better. I think that's been an issue over the last 2-3 years. What's the grand finals record? It's 4. Hold on, 6.
Talking FaZe's grand finals record.
Yeah.
Turtle will know it, but it's not pretty. It's probably alright actually, considering.
We got the
6 and
LeBron
4.
James, man.
Yeah.
All I
but
know is that
We've been to
negative
20.
grand
We've been
finals
to
records
20
all
grand
times.
finals in the last 3 years.
14. Because it was 7 in the first year.
Oh, 6 out of 14.
2 last
Okay.
year, 6 and 14,
Oh,
yeah.
so that's only 6 and 8. We got the
Yeah.
LeBron James fucking grand
Yeah.
finals record.
No, but
Take it.
LeBron James. The thing about LeBron is that he wasn't on the best team every time.
Oh yeah.
The best team losing in the finals every time.
That must have really getting roasted every time. I can't say I'm not guilty.
In my
Warriors losing in the
defense, we were like what, fucking 3 and fucking 7 in Modern Warfare.
2.
2, yeah. In my defense, in Modern Warfare, I don't know. Like we were considered the best team, but I feel like Dallas, Chicago, London. I feel like it was a lot more top heavy. Florida was like fucking the Bermuda Triangle of servers for about a month and a half.
Yeah.
But like ever since we've kind of, I feel like there's like 3 teams that have like distanced themselves from the pack the last like 2 years. It's kind of happening again. You kind of feel it. But like that Modern Warfare season was actually fucking unreal. How many there was like 7-8 teams that could win a tournament any day. I wish we had today's format or like an upgraded version of today's format back in Modern Warfare, and then see how that would have played out.
Yeah, I agree. But if you look at the records of the teams, you guys every year had easily the best record.
Oh
for,
yeah,
Modern Warfare and Cold War, and so you can't say you weren't the best team. You were, and you're the fucking most stacked lineup of all time every year.
It's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate.
You can't defend that one, unfortunately. Painted him into a corner.
But I think you win this
That's
one.
gotta,
This
yeah,
is
we
the
got,
time.
it's
This
got to
is
be
the
better.
time, Austin.
I
This
hate
is the
seconds.
one.
My girl gets mad at me, but I say second is the first loser. You don't remember who comes in 8th. You don't remember who comes in fucking 10th, 12th. I can't even tell you who came in 12th last tournament, but I can tell you who came in second.
Yeah,
It was
in
you.
almost every tournament ever, and it's FaZe.
I hate it.
It's always FaZe. Okay, there's gonna be some sort of meme. Maybe the Z is like a 2. That could almost work. I don't know. Some potential there. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, we'll see. I think I like our bracket here. We've got FaZe making the run through winners, and they're going to win a tournament, and they're going to win a tournament that no one's going to count, and then they're going to lose the rest of it in the grand finals. I can give them that one. No, I'm just kidding. I do really want you to actually have some success. Unfortunately, you're not going to be at the event, but hopefully
We're still at first. We're first in CDL points right now.
Yeah, you are. That's true. And you did win champs last year, and you were there. So like, I'm not. No, I don't feel too bad about you.
I'll survive.
I think you'll live. So anyway, there we go. There's our bracket. I actually really like our bracket. We've got a mix of kind of like some sensible takes and a nice mix of like, we're throwing Team War in there. We're throwing a bit of juice in there with the Florida #1 seed. Ravens getting out of the group. It's pretty spicy. Final thoughts, lads, before the event? I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I hope everyone does gas it. I feel like I don't have any like insider information, but I feel like just on the outside looking in that this event has a lot of pressure to do well. It's the first time we've had 16 teams. It's very experimental. I do hope it does well. I really hate that we had a month off right before it, because we were just talking about this before the show came on, but like all momentum that the CDL had after stage 2 is just washed away. So I'm a little bit nervous that it might not be as much of a banger as it could have been with the correct format, with the correct season format. But I do hope it does well. I hope people really root for, you know, the amateur teams to come out and do really well. There's a lot of big name players there that I'm sure we're going to see in the future. So yeah, I hope everyone enjoys it.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit disappointing that we don't have all the teams as they were in stage 2. But I think it's still exciting regardless. It's the first time we've seen AMs against pros since the start of the CDL. The last event was COD Champs 2019 when we saw that. So I think it's exciting on that front. And it's just good to have COD back because it's been the longest month without it. We've just been sitting here twiddling our thumbs, doing nothing. So
Real, man.
should be exciting. Ready for some COD?
Damn right. Lyman's been calling for this for years. We've finally got amateur teams back in business. Everyone's got to turn up and, you know, show support. Hopefully the stream will be great. As I say, it could have been executed better, we imagine, but still, it's going to be a great weekend nonetheless. There's going to be a winner. There's COD back on the menu. It's just absolutely fantastic stuff. Thanks all for tuning in on the audio platforms, live on the Twitch, live on the YouTube, all of that good stuff. We had a great show today. Lots of interaction, lots of, you know, bit of banter in the chat as well, which is always a good time. Been enjoying the last few weeks, certainly, and you guys make it all the more enjoyable to do live. So thanks to Omar producing behind the scenes. Thanks to all of you lot. Have a fantastic evening or night or day, wherever it is in the world. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you next time.